Okay, something weird is going on. These are the results from the 3-0 Thursday 3-minute blitz chess.com best players in the world, and Fabiano won the first event of the day, spanking Hikaru Nakamura, wherever it is, there it is. Then he plays the second 3-0 Thursday and doesn't just win by a little bit, he storms it 10 out of 11, only losing to old Terry, should be a GM, somehow he's an IM. Then he plays the third one and finishes top 6. But no wonder he was a bit tired by that point. Who knows what time of day it was. What's going on? Fabiano Caruana is not known as a blitz beast, and yet here he is, destroying people. Just won title Tuesday, candidates coming soon, and here he is, playing Hikaru and absolutely blowing him off the board. Love this game. Hikaru plays a Bogo Indian defense. We saw Magnus employing this to great effect against Ali Reza in the Speed Chess Championship. I'll link that video at the end. Well, I covered multiple games there, in fact. Bishop blocking here. Black's got so many moves available. I'm highlighting them. You could even consider a bit of this action, but not today. C5 from Hikaru, takes, pawn recaptures, changing the structure, and G3 is the tried and tested way to play in this line. Makes a lot of sense when you've got no pawns sort of blunting the bishop on C6. It's here. So Hikaru fights back down the diagonal. Big standoff there. Castles and A5. I mean, castles would have been perfectly fine also, but Hikaru sets up the structure. Fabi fights back against it, and knight A6 looking a bit stinky on the edge of the board, but it does a job. Prepares to capture on B4 and maybe jump here one day. Remember that theme. Queen D3 now. What's the point of that? Surely you get the noble steed into the game first. Well, it's about to develop behind the queen. Bishop e4 could interrupt things, but not played, just d6, knight bd2, giving Fabi this wonderful big white centre which he's hoping for here. Trio of dragons there. And now you can castle again and queen c7 and just hold this hedgehog pawn structure. It's probably the more precise when you're running it with the all-powerful stock squid, but not played. We get e5. And it's a really logical positional point, which is gain access to c5. But the follow-up from Hikaru is bizarre. So we see the move now of knight e1. Actually, c5 was very powerful, but it's a deep kind of pawn sack, opening up queen b5 check ideas soon, punishing the fact black never castled. Let's not go there. This was played. Castle's now on the board. Knight c2, pressuring b4 now. Not really a structure that black would want. So in the game we see takes, pawn recaptures, and now what is the move? With the black pieces, obviously, positionally, you play pawn takes on d4, of course. And whatever white wants to take with, queen or, yeah, queen's probably most sensible because you know knight c5's on the way. Knight c5 then comes. And yes, white has some light squares and the centre and stands better. But look, you've got your outpost, you've got your play, you've got some open files to work with to compensate your bad pawn structure. It's just the way to play the position. But Hikaru plays knight back to b8 as though he's setting up for the next game. Horribly passive. I mean, we've not seen a move that dubious since Danny Wrench donned this, his Valentine's Day seduction outfit. Even those monkeys in the background can't look. Fair play to him. What was the follow-up? Knight hopping in. Hikaru now brings it to c6. Some pressure on the centre. But Fabi's first in with knight f5. Kasparov's absolutely loving it. This is his happy face. Queen c7 now played. And d5 looks really natural. You know, don't give black this play here. The point then is you can go knight e7. And we get something like this maybe. Different game. But you can get knight e7. Queen supports. And things are okay, although pretty passive for black. But we didn't see d5. We saw rook a b1 immediately, pressuring b6, and now d5 is a massive threat, because if you let white play it, knight e7, takes, queen takes, and you leave the protection of the pawn, it drops. So you have to respond. It's why bishop c8 is best. Upon d5, you take the knight. You don't yet move. Something like this. Now you move into d4 in this instance. Let's go back to the game. Hikaru plays the absolute shocker. Rook fd8. Just way too casual. Allowing d5, and there's no knight e7. Takes, and then this pawn drops down here. So knight b8 played. Back on the starting square once more. I mean, Dad's ashamed all the way from over here. Absolutely awful. Queen e3 now piles the pressure on the pawn, and Hikaru hops around here. This is nothing to be proud of, this knight maneuver. He really needs to get back to basics, start practicing once more with Ali Reza and Fabi. There they are with their beautiful hobby horses. They're a wonderful trio. That queen's terribly passive. That's what I'm drawing here. It's just babysitting pawns. The rook's stuck. Fabi brings the queen in now, and with the whole army in Siberia, it's time to unleash an attack on the king. Knight e8, the best defense actually, but not played. g6 selected, but this isn't a real threat, of course. There's a pin. So f4 was now played, and Fabi roaring like the mighty chess lion he is, and try and find a move for black. It is absolutely horrible. You know, if you try and, I don't know, rotate the knight or something, first off, that's a horrible circuit. But second off, you drop a piece. You can't go king g7, it's covered. If you try sidestepping, then this one comes to hit the f7 pawn, and you rip open the f-file soon. If you try rook e8 to tiptoe the queen around, the d pawn drops. There's pressure on the b pawn. There's just hardly any moves. It's horrible. So this was tried. It's absolutely one of the best defensive tries. Now Fabi brings the bishop into the game. There's a threat to take the knight. Of course, this is a pin. So f6 kicks out the queen. This, I was about to say check was played. Not check, sorry. Queen sliding in. Threatens a mate after the knight is chopped. And so that's why we see takes on f5. You know, the pin was broken when f6 was played. But now this piece is loose. Now this next move makes things a lot worse. Apparently bishop a6 was best, but anyway, the problem, like said, is your pieces are just all kind of traffic jammed. You know, what if you try something like this, then the f pawn drops, and so on. What to do? King h8 was tried, but now takes on e5, opens a line for the rook, d pawn recaptures, and a lovely little attacking move. Can you find it? Bishop g6 is best. I mean, you could take there with the rook too, different options, but this is the top move. You threaten mate in one, so the knight's got to move out the way, which it duly does. Queen now laterally defends, whoopsie, like that. And now we see takes on f5 with the bishop. Covering this central pawn, you know, why even give Hikaru that counterplay? And you hit the f pawn. Defended with the rook. And now watch this. It's a move which Christian Kurilla could only describe like this.
It's an absolute banger. It's a game changer.
It's rook takes on b6. A beautiful deflection tactic. If queen takes, bam, wham, slam. Good night, Hikaru. So of course you can't do that. So rook f7. Desperate overprotection of the pawn, but it's simple chess now. The entire position is collapsing. Sure, black can get the queens off, but to what avail? Pawn attacked, meekly defended. You know, you can't go knight d7. Knight d3 I didn't explore, but probably an issue. Could just attack a bishop or attack the knight. I don't know. It's bad. So king f6 defends the pawn. The rook hits this open lane, and there's a threat to go rook b5. Knight would have to move, and then you take the bishop. And there's no rook c8. The square's controlled. So this was played. Covers. Hit c4. Anyway, we get a check. King g7. You know, you couldn't stay with the pawn. So that now drops and defends c4. This was the last desperate attempt. Hit the knight, remove the defender of the pawn, go for some weird counterplay, but this move finished the game because everything's overloaded. And if you take, bishop takes, well, the rook's hanging and the bishop's hanging. So you could do something like this and swap bishops, but then these pawns are clearly just winning the day, right? No need to show how the whole position plays out. It's dead lost. Quick example. So, final position. Hope you enjoyed, and have a look at the video on screen for the most remarkable game in the Bogo Indian defence, played by the man himself, Magnus Carlsen. And if you want something slightly different, there's also a members only video just released tonight, game I played last night. Brilliant attacking idea that I've just never played before and I loved it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.